I think it was always common knowledge that when push comes to shove from a staffing perspective, community support is always going to be the first place that they pull from.
Staffing shortages due to COVID-19 at the Winnipeg Police Service has resulted in community support resources being reallocated to General Patrol. One Winnipeg Police Accountability Group says losing frontline community resources is a symptom of a larger issue in the city.
And that's frustrating, but I think it speaks to the fact that society has come to rely on the police for too many things.
Michael Redhead Champagne with the Winnipeg Police Accountability Coalition says work done in the community prevents crime as opposed to reactive policing.
It's much less expensive for the city of Winnipeg and the police services budget to be preventing crime instead of following the crime and following up in that regard. So I think that if we're able to somehow be proactive with the crime prevention, then that would make it so that state of emergencies such as this don't have such a detrimental effect on community safety.
Working with more than 100 community stakeholders to develop calls for police reform, the coalition says encouraging a more community-based policing model is a main priority.
If we can find a way in the state of emergency to emphasize that element of good community policing and demilitarization, I think it would go a long way to sending a message to the community that the police are here as partners.
As of Monday, 80 officers from community support and guns and gangs are back on the beat in General Patrol.
We were dealing with about 90 positive cases, and we had about 172 people off on sick leave.
At a press conference last week, the WPS told reporters there is no shortage of officers, and the service is still able to handle demand from the city, saying if you need police, they'll be there.
That's why we're shifting our resources to ensure that our General Patrol officers have adequate resources to respond to the needs in the city, particularly the urgent calls.
But in recent months, members of the public, particularly in the downtown Foot Patrol zone, may be seeing fewer officers on the street. As over the course of 2021, Foot Patrol hours dropped by roughly 14% to 1,865 in Q3 from 2,179 in Q1, more than 300 hours. City News requested an interview with Chief Smythe on the state of emergency, but received this statement instead. Quote, "We will not be providing regular public updates on caseloads and staffing numbers. The WPS Business Continuity Plan identified various areas within the service where officers could be drawn from. The units mentioned are simply some of the first impacted," end quote. However, at the press conference, Smythe says his service continues to be there for Winnipeg despite challenges presented by COVID-19, stressing frontline service and support for those on the front line is key.
They continue to amaze me with their level of discipline and professionalism. This is just one more strain, and we'll do our best to help them get through this. And ensuring that we have resources in the front line will be one of our priorities.
In Winnipeg, Modjeski, City News.